Fuck you.
Fuck a ye. Oh my god. We're back.
Are we back?
We're back.
Are we back? Are we better than ever?
We're back. We're back. This is,
Back and more average than ever.
that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
You know?
Goddamn right.
More
Shoot
fucking
for the
average.
middle, you know what I'm saying?
You know, you're not hurting anybody's expectations when you do that.
No. And not even, especially not your own. Most
It's like
importantly.
no other people's bar up here, know your own, and then shoot right in that middle gap, and
Yeah.
it's like you're never gonna miss.
Why is our bar at the bottom of
Because
that?
that's just where we're at, man.
Okay.
We're always raising the bar, and we got to start from the lowest point.
Yeah, we're not the tallest people, you know, so we put the bar down low so we can raise it.
Yeah. Well, fucking hell. Anyways, welcome to Drinking Our Way Through History, where we cover the legendary people, places, spectacles, and events that history has to offer while enjoying a thick pour of whiskey.
Dick.
I am Cooper.
I am Ian.
There's something you need to do that we didn't do last time. It's just one quick little thing.
I like how you said that I need to do it, but it's in your part of the script.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay. Anyway, so if you could leave us a 5-star review, because obviously we're so prepared and professional.
So prepared.
for this podcast. As you can see by our nice robes.
Yes, rate and review, please. We would fucking love that. And today's episode is part 2 of the fall of the Aztec Empire.
Part 2.
Yeah, we
Part
definitely
dookie.
didn't make it as far as we wanted to last episode, so this is definitely going to be a 3-parter now.
We do talk a lot.
Yeah.
We tend to
But today,
tangent.
today gets fucking bloody.
Woo.
It's gnarly. So we left off as Cortés and his men were fresh off their decisive victory over the Tabascan warriors.
Those Tabasco bottles really put up a fight.
Tensions were rising as he received stunning gifts from Montezuma. Gifts that were meant to bribe the Spaniards into staying away from Tenochtitlán and to leave Mexico altogether. But Cortés had no intention of backing off and insisted on meeting face-to-face with Montezuma. He's just like, no, we're meeting face-to-face, okay? You see these fucking guns? And
We're meeting face to face whether you want to or not. It's just,
this is just going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you want this to be easy or hard? Either way, we're fucking up your land. Now, all of this while Montezuma was beginning to fear that Cortés might just be the returning god, Quetzalcoatl.
not Quetzalcoatl.
Yes. Now, like we said in the last episode, Cortés knew that there was more gold and he wanted it all.
All of it.
He was not gonna let this message from Cortés discourage him in any which way at all.
From Montezuma.
Yeah. So in order to
Say
keep
that.
things-
You want to say that line again? You said he wasn't going to let this message from Cortés discourage him.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if I can get it.
Yeah, no, maybe.
All right, we're going to repeat it. So he was not going to let this message from Montezuma to discourage him in any way.
Yes.
So in order to keep things moving along, Cortés needed to make sure that his army was going to fully support him. He needed to legalize this entire illegal expedition that he was on. Cortés gathered his officers and in front of a notary resigned his commission from Governor Velázquez. He followed this up by founding a new settlement, Villarica de Veracruz, a rich town of the True Cross.
Okay. That's Villarica de la Veracruz.
Yep.
I love that. That's
It's
such
still
a
around.
long fucking name.
So this is not the actual spot. He's just establishing, like, I now have an entity of a town. It's like an LLC.
He's legitimizing his business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, he started appointing men to positions to make the settlement legal. All men, except for one, that were loyal to him, of course, because he's like, I'm getting support on my side. But I'm going to throw in one of Velázquez's guys just because then it shows that I'm a man of the people.
I'm being legit, you know?
And he needed to take a vote to assign the settlement's chief general. And surprise, surprise, Cortés won this vote and was then the settlement's leader.
One vote against him.
Now, this is, yeah, exactly. This is all a lot of legal fucking hullabaloo, and it gets into a lot of detail in Conquest and Conquistador. By doing this, Veracruz was not under direct report of Cuba, but to the crown of Spain itself. So this is just legal loophole after legal loophole. So instead of reporting back to Velázquez, Cortés would now report directly to King Charles V.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. So I guess the big question is this all legal.
Kinda.
Kinda. So Velasquez actually did the same thing to the viceroy before him in Cuba, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Velasquez would eventually find out and come after Cortés.
Yeah.
So Cortés now needed to find a location that was more kind to his men than the current swampy, mosquito-infested, he-ridden location.
Yeah, because remember, they're in that like slanted land where it's just shit. They're getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. And Cortés he's not letting his men take off his fucking their armor yet.
No.
They're sleeping in their armor. They're walking around in their armor.
I bet it smelled awesome.
Oh God, it had to smell so bad.
Yeah. Wow, 100%. So when the two scouting parties returned, they told Cortés that they found some land about 20 miles north on the coast. The Spaniards traveled to this new location and officially marked this spot Veracruz. It's funny when you say travel to this new location, like they're marching in armor.
Well, they hopped in their boats.
Oh, were they right along the river?
Yeah, no. This is along the coastline still. In the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay. All right. Now I can visualize. I'm
helping to put together for you.
Yeah. Now, the Velasquez followers were beginning to put things together, and in the newly formed settlement, Cortés kind of faced his first insurrection, right? Two captains who were loyal to Velasquez began to speak up against Cortés and what he had done. So Cortés had them both put in chains and locked up on one of the ships offshore, instilling the message to all of the other men: do not cross Hernán Cortés.
Yeah, don't.
Don't fuck with them.
This is like, these guys got off the easiest.
Yeah, I was going to say.
What else happens throughout this entire trip?
You just put him in chains and put him on a boat. Yeah, it's like, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
Granted, back then, I feel like that still would have sucked. Because let's just think about it. It's a hot fucking ship. You're in chains.
Yeah, no, so keep in mind, these Velasquez supporters, they had come back after the scouting expeditions. He sent them away because they were starting to say, like, oh, we can fucking, like, we have plenty of treasure now. Let's go. Let's go back. We like Velasquez better than you. And they're trying to just stirring shit up. And he's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Go find some extra land for us and then we'll talk about things.
Right.
And then they come back and they're like, what the fuck is Veracruz?
Right.
And so, the mutiny kind of tried to happen. And Cortés was like, absolutely fucking
no.
not.
No.
Mm-mm. So soon after this, Cortés took a small party inland and almost immediately came into contact with the Totonac natives. Totonac is what they're called.
Totonac. Oh, yeah, Totonac. Yeah. Sorry.
These natives had all sorts of piercings and gauges throughout their entire body, which fucking freaked out the Spanish.
Hey, those are my kind of people right there.
They were like, holy shit.
Love it.
The Totonacs welcomed Cortés and his men through Malinche and Aguilar.
It's like you go up to like a big gang or something that has just all these piercings and tattoos and shit, and they're just like the friendliest guys on the planet. You know?
Yeah.
Like you walk into a biker bar and they're just like, hey, what's up, man? You want something to drink? Come sit with us, dude.
And so they informed Cortés that they had been watching them on the coast for some time and that their ruler would like to meet them in their town called Sempoala. Now, when the Spaniards arrived in Sempoala, Cortés... Sorry for butchering these names.
So, okay, well, remember, in Spanish, most things are spelled how they sound, which is nice.
Yes.
I much prefer this over like Swedish, or Finnish when we were doing the fucking homeboy, the sniper.
Oh, yeah.
Like just all those names.
Gosh.
Oh my God.
Simo Hoyaha.
Yeah, Simo Hoyaha. It's like shark bait. Hoo-ah-ha. Sorry.
So in this
throwback.
I am Bruce. Fish are friends. Okay.
Not food.
When the Spaniards arrived in Sempoala, Cortés ordered some of his men to inspect the main temple. The men found another sacrificial scene. Freshly sacrificed young boys, blood still pooling from their abdomens. The walls of the altar were splattered with blood, and the victims' hearts were set out on plates. The scouts saw large, square, sacrificial stones with sharp obsidian blades glistening with blood. They saw dismembered torsos, the arms and the legs were severed from them cleanly. And they're like, just another shock to these guys.
You know, to be fair, like, I'd be kind of shocked too. Like,
especially
I get it.
when you run okay, the Inquisition just happened, right? In Spain. They all were there for that shit. But when they go to this new land, and these guys are like, "What's up? We got some gauges, we got some piercings. How you doing? Here's some
Yeah, they're
food."
already kind of
and
on
then
edge.
they go into this temple that's supposed to be like this religious altar, and there's this.
Yeah, yeah, it's
like
a far step
what
away
the
from Christ,
fuck?
I guess. A far step away from the Church of Christ.
Oh, absolutely. Now, when all of this was reported back to Cortés, who then demanded to see the Totonac leader. Now, when the chief showed up, he was being carried by a dozen men.
Oh, classic. I love this.
Oh, this dude was massive, bro. Like, he had a distended belly that needed to be supported by two men holding a solid pole between them as his fat belly just spilled over it. That's how fat this guy was.
Rock on.
This dude was just living. He's like, you
Yeah,
know what,
I
man?
was
I just
gonna say,
eat. I'm fine.
Like back then, to be that fat is hard work. You know what I mean?
That takes an effort,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Like, serious effort.
That's wild. I'm just picturing that in my head right now.
Just
That
sitting
is-
there, and
yeah.
then two guys are like,
Yeah. God, they must have. Hopefully, they got paid well.
you know
to
that,
hold
like,
the
that he
poles.
had women probably too cleaning the underbelly
Oh
of
yeah,
him.
just like the
Because you know it had like these were
yeast.
clean people, so you know that somebody was there washing his underbelly.
Oh man, because he couldn't reach it.
I'm assuming not. I think how long it like. How many years did he not see his penis?
Oh man.
You know?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, maybe he would like have them lifted up enough to where
I don't
like,
know, man. Would you have it lifted by a
wrap-
pole?
Just wrap it around him, wrap it around to the back
Flop
of
it
him.
to one side, please.
Yeah. So this obese chief was named basically oh god.
Tlaxcalan.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Tlaxcalan.
Yeah. That's the only time we're gonna say his name.
Yeah. So he had heard of the Spaniards and their great godlike powers and hoped that Cortés and his men could help him with the problem. Because that's what they're known for, helping.
At this point, they were like, "Well, maybe you guys,
Yeah.
guys seem pretty scary."
Yeah. So he and his 20,000 inhabitants had recently been conquered by the Aztecs and were forced to pay exorbitant tributes to them, which were in the form of human sacrifices. Rough. So far, Montezuma had taken their finest young men and women at will, and now he was starting to demand wives. It was simply too much, and the chief no longer wanted to comply. Honestly, I get it.
Yeah.
That's completely fucking fair. And they have
Absolutely.
more gold than them, so it's like, hey, they have more shit than us. Go fuck them up.
Yeah, help us out. Help us help you.
Yeah, exactly. So he asked Cortés if he could help significantly reduce the tributes that the Totonacs were forced to pay. Cortés quickly gathered the Totonacs. God, I don't know why that's hard for me. Totonacs.
It's like Toto.
It's Tomater, but without the T.
Think of Toto from Wizard of Oz.
Totonacs. Totonacs. So,
It's like the dog turned into a transformer.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Totonacs.
Totonacs. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. I'll never fuck it up again. So Cortés quickly gathered the Totonacs. Sorry, hold on. Let me just say that again.
It's tripping now.
Fuck, dude. Fuck. Cortés quickly gathered that the Totonacs could be a big help to his conquest to march to this marvelous Tenochtitlan. The chief informed Cortés that the Totonacs Confederacy had over 30 villages within it, and none of them were happy with the Aztecs because they're fucking killing all of their people.
Yeah.
Along with other tribes outside of the Totonacs. One tribe in particular, who were known for their fierce warriors and how they have always been able to fight off the rule of the Aztecs, came to the top of their conversation.
The Tlaxcalans.
It's like, relax, Colin, but Tlaxcalans.
Tlaxcalans?
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys, Tlaxcalans, are fucking. These guys are going to be here soon. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's a fun.
Tell
it's
me
a fun
more.
time. It's a fun time. With that information, Cortés made a pact with the fat chief. Cortés would help the Totonacs reclaim their freedom from the Aztecs, and the Totonacs would lend their men to help the Spanish reach Tenochtitlan. The opportunity to demonstrate this newfound alliance and resistance came quickly. Soon after Cortés's arrival in Cempoala, Aztec tax collectors arrived to collect tribute owed by the Totonacs. Now, once these collectors discovered that the Totonacs had accepted the Spaniards without consulting Montezuma, they demanded an additional 20 men and women to sacrifice on top of the amount that they had already come for in the first place.
It's like, how many men and women do you think they have?
Well, they have 20,000.
I know, but it's like, it's going to run out eventually, Montezuma. Like,
yeah, this is like, and so this was happening across the Aztec Empire.
Yeah.
There are a lot of fucking tribes out there that were not happy with the Aztecs.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't like a peaceful overall civilization.
Empire. No.
Yeah, this was a brutally ruled.
That's an English word, Cooper. That's an English word.
Civilization, empire that was dominated by fear.
Yeah.
Fear and power.
Yeah.
So Cortés took advantage of this opportunity and demonstrated his commitment to the Totonacs and managed to convince the fat chief to refuse the tribute and imprison the collectors instead. The chief was super hesitant, fearing the wrath of the Aztecs, rightfully so, but Cortés persuaded him regardless. He was like, look at these fucking guns. Look at these horses.
Dude, I will literally, they come here, I shoot.
It's like, oh, fucking blow their head off,
Have you seen this animal before? No?
Nope.
Well, we have.
This is a god.
This is a god. We are gods. Listen to us. Oh, man. So following Cortez's advice, the Totonacs detained the Aztec tax collectors while the Aztec attendants, I like how they're tax collectors.
Oh, yeah.
They're fucking executioners.
Dude, this has been going on for centuries.
I know, man.
Taxes has always been a thing.
Yeah, but this time it's human lives.
You know, honestly, sometimes it's tax season, I'm like, take my head.
Just take a finger, baby. Like, come on. I don't need the pinky. Oh, man. So they detained the Aztec tax collectors while the Aztec attendants managed to flee into the jungle, running off to report the news of the Totonacs rebellion. Mm-hmm. Now, when the Aztec collectors were detained, Cortés said that he would watch over them with his men that night. But what the Totonacs were not aware of is that Cortés was trying to play both sides and earn some brownie points with Montezuma. Because, I mean, let's be honest, Montezuma was giving him gold, giving him all sorts of stuff.
Well, he knew he's trying to get his goodies, man.
Yeah, he's trying to get his shit.
Trying to get those goodies.
Mm-hmm. Is that a song? It should
No,
be.
I was thinking not my goodies, but then it didn't work with the message, so
it works.
I
trying to get my goodies.
Thank you.
Bars. So that night, Cortés actually released 2 of the Aztecs, giving them gifts and a message to bring back to Montezuma, saying that he had nothing but peaceful intentions.
Nothing. I'm just here to trade, meet
here
with
to
you.
talk,
My king
man.
wants to talk a little bit.
Dave's not here, man.
Dave is here.
Dave is here.
Dave is here.
And
Dave
he's
is
going to wipe out your entire empire. So the following morning, the fat chief was enraged that I like how that's your substitute for the chief's
Bro, it's
name.
such a difficult name to say.
It is a tough one.
Like, and everybody knows who the fat chief is.
Yeah, it's
Okay?
that large chief was enraged that 2 of the Aztecs had escaped and was about to have the remaining ones killed and sacrificed when Cortés talked him into putting them on his ship for safekeeping.
Yep.
But Cortés did the same thing for the remaining Aztecs and released them the following night.
Yeah, Cortés was definitely like surprising the fuck out of Montezuma with this as well, because Montezuma's like, he keeps like saving our people. Like, this is capturing them but letting them go.
He's a merciful god.
Well, yeah, in a way. Now, while all of this was taking place, the construction of Veracruz was actually underway on the shoreline, and a ship full of about 60 men, more horses, and other supplies that was supposed to depart with Cortés from Cuba originally had just arrived.
Nice.
Now, it had not originally departed with him because it needed more time to repair, and if you remember, Cortés was in a little bit of a fucking hurry, running away from Velázquez.
Yeah.
This was a delight to Cortés, to say the least, but there was some complicated news that came with this ship. A letter had just arrived from the King of Spain to Cuba, giving Diego Velázquez authorization to found new settlements and trade in these newfound lands, which included Cozumel and the Yucatan. But Cortés didn't really even hesitate. This man was fucking quick, dude.
Yeah.
He could pivot. He
was
shift
fully
everything.
taking advantage of the times that there's, no internet,
absolutely.
no
A
immediate
message
communication.
takes 8 months.
Oh no, I just didn't know yet.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
God, so sorry. He must have died on the way.
Well,
with the
and
butter.
also he knew how to quickly influence the king.
Yeah.
Because what he decided to do was send a letter of documents of the founding of this Veracruz directly to the king. And he chose 2 captains for the mission, one of his loyalists and one of Velázquez's loyalists. That was also, there to basically shifting sides because he's seeing this treasure come in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That's a smart play because it's I'm not one-sided. No.
But I mean,
I'm a fair ruler.
Yeah.
Now, as we've said, the founding of Veracruz was pretty legally questionable. So to help soften the blow, Cortés sent every ounce of treasure they had collected on their journey thus far to do some of the talking for him.
Yeah, he knew what the fuck he was doing.
Straight up. First-class bribery right there.
He's like, yeah, this is kind of in that gray
Look at what
area,
Velasquez has. Look at what I have.
but here's some treasure.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes the shift. Man, politics.
Greasing some palms, bro. Greasing some palms. Now, some of his men complained that he only needed to send the royal fifth, but Cortés explained that he had to send a treasure that was literally fit for a king and win his good graces in order to continue their journey, which honestly, he was not wrong.
He's not wrong.
No, it's a great, because what do you think Velasquez said?
Velasquez would have been, wait.
Like, would send back to the king. He'd probably just send the king.
Oh, he would have just sent
the
a fifth
yeah.
every single time.
Every single time.
Well, Cortés is like, we're sending a fit for a king amount.
Yeah.
And
he probably even told him, he's like, this is just a fifth of what we've gathered.
I don't know.
I'm
I'm sure it was probably more of like, this is everything that we've, like, showing the commitment to the crown was the ultimate thing that you could do. Because as soon as you do that, and then the king's going to look at it and be like, well, fuck Velasquez. Like, you're already doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need Velasquez. Like, Velasquez can keep doing what he's doing, but you're doing a good job.
Right.
Right. And also, for those of you who don't know, the Royal Fifth, when Spain was conquesting and colonizing native areas, the Royal Fifth was any treasure or anything that was any kind of economic value. They would send a fifth of that to the crown. A fifth of that belongs immediately to the crown because the crown and the Pope were allowing the colonization of this new land. Yeah. And the founding of it.
Yeah.
So that's the payment to have this land to 20%,
yourself. Baby.
Yep. So with all of the treasure gone, Cortés did some, doing some legal gymnastics to rid himself of Velasquez. There was some mutiny in the air again, but this time a little bit more. A small group of Velasquez supporters met in secret and planned to board the most seaworthy ship, kill the captain, overtake the treasure ship, and sail it back to Cuba to return it to Velasquez. Well, the night that they were loading up to head out, one of the conspirators flipped and informed Cortés of their intentions.
Classic.
Cortés immediately had these men arrested and decided to send a message to the rest of his men, a little bit more pronounced than just sending them to the fucking ship and having them chained up.
Yeah.
One man was hanged.
Yep.
Another was to have his feet cut off, but he ended up only just losing a few toes.
Yeah.
Another was giving 200 lashes in full view of the troops. Oh man, I would have rather taken the toes. I
would have taken the 200 lashes just
you
because...
You can die from the lashes.
You can die from the lashes, but like walking would be really hard without
You can
toes.
always learn to rewalk as long as you don't lose your big toe.
You're like healing it.
And the other was in prison for some time with the threat of being hanged.
I'd pick that one.
Well,
I would be that guy.
I'm just saying if like obviously you want to take that guy.
Yeah, I'd be that one if I could choose. So even with this very clear message of don't fuck with this conquest, Cortés still worried about mutiny. So he had his shipmasters dismantle and bore holes in the bottom of all ships, sinking them to the bottom of the Gulf. Cortés later reflected that now they had nothing to rely on save their own hands and the certainty that they must either win the land or die in the attempt.
Yeah,
that's a motivator.
This was a big move. Big move. It wasn't something that he just like told all of his men. It was just something for some of his men to go out there. So he had the shipmasters go out there. They took the rope, they took the sails, they took all the useful stuff. Because that's going to come in hand later down the line when they're in Tenochtitlán.
Yeah.
And then he had them fucking just drill the holes, and then those ships got sunk to the middle of the Gulf.
I wonder if any of them are still there.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I don't know. There's so many ships over in that area, dude.
Yeah.
Because of like just the golden age of piracy as well.
Oh man, what a time.
Cortés now had about 400 men, 50 or so Sempoalan warriors, and a few hundred porters that were given to him from local tribes, all marching west from towards Tlaxcalan from his newly established Veracruz. He had Totonac scouts moving in front of the main pack of men and coming back to report anything as they went. Soon enough, the Spaniards came into contact with some Aztec-controlled villages, which were actually surprisingly open and friendly to them. Cortés met with a local chief, and he learned how the Aztecs were made up of like 30-plus kingdoms. So this is important information, each of which could gather 100,000 warriors in total. You got 400 fucking men.
That's not
against 100,000 people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
A lot of people. A lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Now, in the capital city, Tenochtitlan, was a city on a lake, both beautiful and impregnable. Once again, Cortés was confirmed in his hopes of finding a vast amount of gold and treasure, as the local chief told Cortés that there were essentially piles of it everywhere, gathering throughout the decades from the conquered kingdom surrounding Tenochtitlan.
Yeah. So the Spanish spent 4 days with these local Aztec supporters, and the entire time they were trying to dissuade the Spanish from continuing their march to the Aztec capital. But Cortés, more determined than ever, set out to continue their journey and sent out Sempoalian? Yeah, Sempoalians.
Sent out a Sempoalian message.
Yeah, Sempoalian messengers to his next destination, Tlaxcalan. He wanted to let them know that he came in peace and that he just kind of wanted to visit with them, right? That's what he was trying to say.
Yeah, he's trying to say that, but he wasn't there to take over the Tlaxcalans. He knew that they were fucking badass warriors.
Right.
And so he wanted to team up.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you guys hate the Aztecs.
We hate
don't really hate them. We want to take them over.
Yeah.
We could use some manpower.
See, the Tlaxcala intrigued Cortés because they were a warrior kingdom that fought against the Aztecs and actively rebelled against them. Cortés wondered if they could be potential allies. Along his route to Tlaxcala, he met with other Aztec-friendly tribes who were friendly towards the Spanish on orders of Montezuma.
Yeah, Montezuma probably thought that they would get to Tlaxcala and just get the shit rocked out of them. So that's Montezuma's just like, just be friendly to him, because he's sending messengers. He's getting reports on what the Spaniards are doing at every single step,
right,
throughout the entire journey. And he doesn't know what to really do. Any prior invader at this point has always tucked tail and run at some point. People have had failed conquests into Mexico. The Incas have captured people. The Mayans had captured people. The fucking Aztecs had captured people, and always shooed them away. Yeah. Now I do believe the Incas, though, were conquered at this time, or working on being conquered at this time. Yeah. So it's that. Montezuma's like, I don't know, just fucking be nice to him and let the Tlaxcalans deal with this bullshit.
Right.
They're not going to deal with this.
Yeah.
On September 12th, 1519, Cortés led his small, freshly battle-hardened force deeper into the heart of an unfamiliar and hostile land, and would soon reach the borders of Tlaxcala to see that the gate to the city was left open and unmanned. So Cortés decided to risk it, and he sent his men through. With each step, the tension grew. Every rustle in the bush or shadow on the horizon could signal an imminent attack. Cortés had already sent scouts ahead and to gauge the land and the intentions of the Tlaxcalans, but the reports were grim. They were getting reports back that the Tlaxcalans were preparing for fucking war. The first signs of hostility came short after crossing into Tlaxcala territory. The Spaniards encountered a small band of Tlaxcalan warriors, and these initial encounters were brief, almost like Tlaxcalans were testing them. Yeah. A few arrows were fired.
They're warrior tribes, man.
Exactly.
They know what they're doing.
They're not new to this shit.
Yeah.
And so they fired a few arrows at them from a distance, and then they would quickly retreat into the dense underbrush. The Tlaxcalans were probing the Spaniards, assessing their strengths, their discipline, and their weaknesses.
Interesting. So Cortés knew what was happening. He was no stranger to the tactics of guerrilla warfare, but this was kind of different. The Tlaxcalans were not merely resisting, it was as if they were hunting. Cortés could feel the eyes of unseen enemies. Cortés could feel the eyes of unseen enemies on him at every moment, waiting for the moment to strike. The tension among the Spaniards was palpable. Cortés rode at the head of his column, his eyes scanning the horizon, every sense on high alert. Beside him marched his Totonac allies, equally uneasy, knowing that they were in the lands of a powerful and unpredictable people.
Yeah, it's very important that everybody that Cortés has run up against at this point, Tlaxcalans are mean motherfuckers.
Yeah, yeah.
Then in the distance, a shrill war cry echoed through the hills, followed by a hail of arrows that darkened the sky.
Nice.
Tlaxcalans had struck. They emerged from the trees in a wave, their bodies painted for war and their faces just roaring in a battle fury. They charged with a ferocity that took the Spaniards by surprise. Their obsidian-tipped weapons raised above their heads as they were charging. Cortés shouted orders, and his men quickly formed a defensive line, bracing for the onslaught. Musket fire rang out. The smoke from the gunpowder quickly clouded the killing field. The first wave of Tlaxcalan warriors were met with a wall of bullets and steel. Many fell dead before they could close the distance, but they still came. Wave after wave after wave, just pushing against the Spaniards, dude. Fucking, oh, God, this is so terrifying. Like, being a Spaniard, oh.
Yeah, that'd be rough. I mean, you got a gun, though.
You got a gun, but it
nice.
takes a minute to load. It's not a Glock.
Well, you should have had a Glock. That's all I'm saying. If you could go back in history, there's plenty of times where you should have had a Glock.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're not wrong.
You know what I mean? Leonidas would have been fine. I'm just
get
saying.
that AR-15
Yeah,
out there.
just pull out the fucking minigun and mow down those Persians.
If they had gone to America first, they could have gotten some goddamn Americans.
Anyway, so the Spaniards once again fought with disciplined precision. Their armor protecting them from most of the Tlaxcalan blows, because I mean they're just using obsidian stuff and the spears
and the
arrows.
spears and arrows,
But the Tlaxcalans were not easily deterred. They adapted quickly, targeting the horses, which were unfamiliar and terrifying to them, but also very vulnerable. Once a horse went down, then another, the Tlaxcalans pressed their advantage, their warriors surging forward with renewed vigor. For hours, the battle raged, which is pretty good if you're facing dudes with guns. Never bring a knife to a gunfight unless you're a Tlaxcalan, I guess.
Well, unless you got thousands of people against 400.
Fair, true. Also true. You got expendable hordes. So the Spaniards still held the ground, but they were tiring. The Tlaxcalans were relentless, their numbers seemingly endless. Cortés knew that if he didn't find a way to end this quickly, his men would be overwhelmed by sheer numbers.
Suddenly...
It's like the flood in Halo.
Oh, exactly, dude.
Yeah.
And suddenly, a trumpet blast echoed through the valley, cutting through the sounds of the battle. Cortés turned to see a new contingent of 40,000 Tlaxcalan warriors descending from the hills, war banners waving through the air. These guys were the elite warriors of the Tlaxcalans. They were the best of the best, and they were charging directly at the heart of the Spanish line. Cortés felt his heart race. This was the moment that could determine fucking everything. The moment that could kill his expedition before it even truly began. The Tlaxcalans were closing in, and the fate of the entire campaign hung in the balance of this. The Spaniards braced for impact, their eyes locked on the advancing warriors, freaking the fuck out. The ground was literally trembling beneath their feet as they were charging, and for a brief moment, it just... Because this is all from, like, Bernal Diaz. He's like, the fucking... time seemed to stand still here.
Yeah.
Now, the deafening fucking roar of the two forces collided. And as the dust rose and the clash of steel against stone filled the air, the outcome of this battle, this first crucial test of Cortés and his men remained uncertain. Cortés's mind was fucking racing. Would they hold the line? Or would this relentless wave of Tlaxcalan warriors finally break them, ending the quest before it began?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bernal Diaz later recalled that the warriors put so much fear into the Spaniards that many of them asked for their final confession while they had the chance.
So scary.
Please, God.
I mean, these guys are devout, so these are true believers.
Sorry. It was more like, please, God.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The battle that followed lasted for hours, with the Spanish fighting furiously against the odds and staying extremely disciplined, holding their lines and maintaining the use of their firepower to help dominate the battle. The Spanish surprisingly ended the day's brutal battle with only one death, lots of injuries, and just 2 dead horses. Kind of crazy.
It's not bad.
Not
they didn't
bad.
do bad, but I mean they were still injured as fuck.
Injured as fuck and terrified.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like, well, of course they were injured as fuck. Like, their armor protects the vital organs, but it does not protect you from little scrapes and bruises that get between the armor. You know what I mean? Like little pieces of obsidian hitting between your armor plates.
And like a reminder out there to the people, these native people were going for injuries over killing. They wanted to sacrifice these people for trespassing onto their lands. So these guys are not going for kill shots. They are going to try and wound, which is why...
They want you to be hurt.
Yeah, so that they could then sacrifice them away to their gods, which is honestly why Cortés made it fucking accomplish this at the end of the day.
I was going to say, if they were going for kill shots, they just go for the throat.
Well, they'd be done.
You know,
The Tlaxcalans would have absolutely fucking ended them. Like, this would have been done and over.
Religion. After the battle, Cortés released some of the prisoners they had captured, repeating his previous tactics and sending a message that he only wanted peace. But the Tlaxcalans refused to believe them, still thinking that the Spanish were allied with the Aztecs.
Now, around this time, Aztec emissaries came to Cortez's camp with a concession saying that Montezuma would become a vassal for the King of Spain, but with a catch. The Spanish needed to leave now, once again. So, Cortés, he's like, no. When he declined the concession and once again asked for an invitation to meet Montezuma. He's like, no, you know what? We did pretty fucking good today. And
one dead versus thousands of dead. Fucking,
exactly.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
I think we're doing okay. So, this is so funny. The Aztecs tried to threaten Cortés and the Spaniards that Montezuma had a pristine zoo and he would unleash the lions and alligators on them.
To tribal people, that would be kind of scary.
It would be totally scary. But Cortés is like, bro, we went into Africa. Like, we've seen some shit.
You ever heard of the Roman Colosseum, bitch?
Yeah. Maybe it was, I don't think it was lions because they couldn't have had lions at this point. Maybe it had to have been tigers.
Definitely gators.
Gators for sure. They had
Panthers.
Those. Panthers and tigers is what I'm assuming. Because the Bengal cat? No, Bengal cat's Asia, right?
Yeah, Bengal cats are in Asia.
Yeah.
it would be panthers and
Panthers
big
and
big mountain cats and shit like that.
God,
yeah.
That's still terrifying.
I mean, I wouldn't want
regardless,
to
big cats, yeah.
Big cats are scary.
Murder kittens. Just
murder kittens. Purring their way to destiny, man. 2 days later, a second battle would take...
Oh, sorry. I need to say something. The reason that this first battle ended, they don't fight at night. They don't fight at night. That's why this ended. Otherwise, they totally would have outbeat the fucking Spaniards. They totally, because they can only fight for so long and get so tired, right? I mean, eventually they're going to eventually shut down.
They would have beat him because, I mean, only one
Yes.
death. Like,
Okay,
only
but they
one.
had 40,000 men.
Yeah, I guess, and we don't have a count on the casualties of the Tlaxcalans.
No, because it's just such a vast
number. So you don't
number,
know how many people they went out. It could have just been 3,000.
It could have just been like wave after wave and then just repeat the cycle, and they could have kept it going all like for days.
Yeah,
and eventually your 400 men are going to you're going to stop. Your body's not going to be able to hold on.
Because the 400 men are fighting the whole time.
These
other guys are getting breathers, going back, eating food.
Yeah, they're just like tag team. All right, bro, let's go in.
You're in, buddy.
But at night they wouldn't fight because of their religion, because something about it was like it's not
blasphemous or something.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, the gods look down upon it.
Right, because it's unfair, probably. It's not honorable, some shit like that. We don't fight in the shadows.
Right.
We fight in the daylight.
And so why this is 2 days later now is because they take time to mourn their dead, and then also they have like this their own fucking like ritual that they do, and then they have to reconvene with their council about going back and to re-attack them. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. 2 days later, a second battle would take place, but this time around, the Tlaxcalans would be led by only Zegotanga the younger. Zegotanga the younger. The son of Zegotanga the elder, of course.
Yeah, which is the leader of the Tlaxcalans.
Yes. He had decided to go against some of the Tlaxcalans' council and prove that the Spanish could be killed and that they were not some form of gods. Speaking of the Spanish being killed, how would it feel to be the one guy who died?
Oh, yeah, bro, I'd be so upset.
Dude, like
fuck,
God.
It's just my eyes.
I know. Jeez. So this battle was fought slightly differently, as the Tlaxcalans would fight in large numbers, wave after wave, in tightly packed groups, which unknowingly allowed the poor-aiming fire weapons of the Spaniards to always hit someone when fired into the crowds of warriors. Kind of poor tactics on the Tlaxcalans' part.
Well, they weren't aware.
They should have been, though. They fought him for
after
a whole
the
day.
one day.
Yeah, like they fought him for a whole day.
Well, think of it, though. Like, they weren't coming at them in tight groups. And these weapons that they were firing, they're not accurate weapons.
No.
You're really just hoping for a spread.
That you hit something, yeah.
And so they're like, okay, some people died, some people didn't. If we go into a mass,
guess that's fair. They didn't really have
break
a frame
through
of
a wall.
reference. Yeah. Oh, that's true. They're trying to get behind him.
Exactly.
They're
trying to break through their wall.
Forward-facing gun, you know what I mean?
Keep in mind, these Spaniards are fighting like Spartans.
Yeah, it's like a phalanx almost.
Exactly. And they're impenetrable. They're obviously very effective at what they do. Like I said last time, very fucking disciplined.
Now, once again, the Spanish were, of course, victorious, only losing one man again, but having about 50 to 60 injured. Each of the horses were also hurt or cut in some kind of way, which is so sad.
I know, fucking horses.
I
Man.
feel so bad for horses in just all of history.
All of history.
All
dude.
of history. They were just cannon fodder.
The Civil
bro.
War, the fucking World War One. Oh my God, World War One. There's so many dead horses. It's so sad. French Revolution. We saw the horrible fucking Napoleon movie where that one horse.
Oh, it was so sad, dude.
It was such a brutal scene.
Oh my God, dude.
Now, one other skirmish took place at night because they were like, okay, we're like they're in shock at this point of like, okay, we're gonna try at night, but it was quickly over as the Spanish were able to get the jump on the natives. After each battle, the Spanish would release some of the prisoners with some kind of message, as before: we don't want to fight, we want peace. Finally, the fighting came to an end, and Xicotenga the Younger would come to the Spanish camps with gifts and talk peace with Cortés. This talk ended better than Cortés really had actually hoped for. Xicotenga the Younger told Cortés that he wanted more than peace. He wanted to become allies and march to Tenochtitlan to take down the Aztec oppressors. He told Cortés that he would be able to gather an army of 100,000 warriors for the march.
Yeah.
Tlaxcalans were big motherfuckers. Like they had numbers. So on September 23rd, 1519, Cortés and his men would enter Tlaxcala and meet with Xicotenga the Elder, who was old and very blind. Like very blind.
Not just a little blind, he was full blind. Full blind.
They would spend the next 3 weeks here recovering and also learning as much as they could about Tenochtitlan. The march towards the Aztec capital would soon begin on October 10th, and Cortés would only take 6,000 men instead of 100,000 men Xicotenga the Younger had promised. I mean, logistically speaking, with winter coming up as well, feeding 100,000 men is a nightmare. That is the logistics of war. Intimidate the fuck out of me.
You got to send out a hunting party of 50,000 fucking people. You know what I mean? To get hopefully 500, 600, 1,000 deer every day.
Absolutely. I mean, it's in the evolution of supplying an army throughout history. At first, like in medieval times, it's like, first of all, the army, as we learned with Jane Grey, Lady Grey, was that these armies were paid for. They were bought. The royal people at the time never had an army on standby. So they would hire people out in the lands and they would recruit them. And
mercenaries, that type of shit.
Yeah, and they were like, they weren't feeding them. They just said, you get to go out and you get to pillage all the fucking peasants and take their food and jewelry and rape and all that shit. And then they were like, okay, we're going to become a little more ethical. We're going to supply you food. And then the more men you have, the more food you got to have. 3 square meals a day.
And all it's going to be is dried meat and fruit.
Just
you know,
and
because they have to store it. Like they can't just rely on the fact that the hunt's going to go well every day. They have to store that food, so they're just going to salt up the meat. And now you need to bring more water. Now you need,
they do talk about the amount of monkeys that are killed.
I would imagine it's a lot of monkeys.
Monkeys, the jaguars,
any fucking
the hogs
animal that you could eat
that are out there.
Yeah.
Anything. I mean, there's books written about the devastation of warpaths of men going through their land and just devastating the land. Yeah. Like ruining it. It is basically an unintentional torched earth method.
100%. 100%. So the next stop on Cortez's route was the city of America's favorite hot sauce, Cholula. Not Tabasco, bitch. Which was about 20 miles southwest from Tlaxcala and had a population of 100,000. Cortés chose this route because they were associated with the Aztec Empire, but were more likely to greet them warmly rather than another battle. When the Spanish arrived in Cholula, they were welcomed into the city, but the 6,000 Tlaxcalans were not allowed. They were like, no. Not those ones.
We don't like those
They
guys.
were forced to stay outside the city walls, which honestly, logistically, puts them in a great war. Yeah. You know, like you got people on the inside, people on the outside.
Oh, it's like it backfires.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It backfires here real quick.
Doesn't seem like that'd be good. The Spanish took in the beauty of the city, the markets, and healthy people, but most of them were blown away with the Great Pyramid of Cholula, which was a temple to the god Quetzalcoatl, the god of life, wind, and intelligence, and for all they know, Cortés. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The base of the pyramid almost spans 1,500 square feet and reaches 217 feet tall with 120 steps. That's tall steps.
Yeah.
It was the largest pyramid constructed in the world, even larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. Although Giza's is taller, the pyramid had been used for religious purposes for more than 1,000 years, which means a lot of people motherfucking died in that motherfucking temple.
Yeah, so many people died.
Lots of people died. Daily sacrifice for thousands of years.
Yeah. It's still around, but I mean, it's been pretty much destroyed.
As most of the ruins
the
from
top
back
half.
then have,
Yeah, exactly. Now, what happens next is subject to controversy, since the only word we have to go on this is Cortés's himself. But the end result is a matter of fact. The Cholulans were eager for Cortés to be on his way back east.
Like, welcome. Now get the fuck away.
Now get the fuck out, get the fuck out, get the fuck out. However, it was here that the Spanish were alerted that something was off about the Cholulans. While the Tlaxcalans were not allowed inside the city, the Totonacs that accompanied the Spaniards were allowed to roam the city. And some of them were wandering around, and they noticed that people were leaving the city, including many women and children. Rumors reached Cortés that large, covered trap holes had been discovered in the streets, their bottoms lined with sharp stakes, and that a number of the city streets had been blocked off with warriors positioned on rooftops sitting next to large piles of stones. Also, Malinche, she was warned by a Cholulan woman that she could leave the Spanish, marry her son, and avoid possibly being murdered. These guys were not really good on the keeping shit on the down low.
Yeah, it's like you kind of seem to do this to yourself.
This is and like we said, this is coming from the Spanish documents. This is
right.
Not,
For all we know, they could have succeeded in an initial attack and surprised the fuck out of them.
Also, there's a chance that none of this shit was happening.
True, and they just fucking did it.
Because they
just needed to justify the attack, make it legal.
Well, what they're about to do is fucking brutal.
So when all of this was brought to Cortés's attention, he bribed and then tortured a couple of local noblemen and discovered that the plot was true. Cholulans were instructed to trap the Spanish inside of the city, and then troops sent by Montezuma would finish off the invaders. After discovering the plot against him, Cortés made an announcement to the Cholulans that he was going to abandon his quest to Tenochtitlan and return home. He then asked the leaders to gather a farewell ceremony, basically, right? In the courtyard of the Great Pyramid, which they agreed to. The ceremony took place, and Cortés had the Cholulan leaders led to his room, which was then barred behind them. He then viciously accused the leaders of plotting against him. This does kind of sound like maybe a little bit of lamentation on Cortés's part.
A little bit.
Making him sound like he's a fucking genius kind of shit.
Honestly, he is a fucking genius.
He is, but it's kind of...
This is
I
a
feel
little...
like the Cholulans would have had a backup plan.
Yeah.
Type shit. You know what I mean? Anyway, the Spanish say that the leaders confessed to Cortés that the plot was true and blamed the Aztecs. Now, if this is really true or not, it doesn't actually matter that much.
No, because below Cortés's private quarters in the pyramid courtyard, hundreds of Cholulan nobles and their families were celebrating, enjoying the going away feast. And on Cortés's signal, his men made their move. Spanish soldiers rode in, sealed off the exits, and swarmed into the courtyard to attack the unarmed Cholulans, beginning the slaughter.
Yeah.
Swords cut down families, crossbow fired from all directions, musket blasts surrounded the courtyard, and war horses ran through anyone in their path, including women and children. Some people fled up the Great Pyramid and actually threw themselves off to their death rather than face the slaughter that awaited them.
Ugh.
Cortés then ordered the temple ablaze, which then burned for 2 days straight.
That's kind of crazy that they would, I'm thinking of the logistics of going up the Great Pyramid and throwing themselves
they were
off
being
to their
chased
death.
up there.
I know that, but
Yeah.
think about it. The pyramid is at a slope. Throwing yourself off to your death, you're going to fall and then tumble and then die.
I think...
or was it segmented?
It's segmented, so the corners, I believe, are a straight drop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The corner? Whatever.
Yeah,
that kind of makes
the
sense.
steps come out, and then it's out instead of a fucking... Yeah. There's ways. It's a steep death.
I know. I'm just curious of what it actually looked like. Yep. You're right.
So the corners are...
It's not just the corners. It's there's the stairway, but then it's just kind of each level is like this.
Yeah, it's
sectioned.
Yeah.
Very much so sectioned.
Yeah.
It's very steep falls.
it's easy to kill yourself on
you could sprint and run and make it to death.
So the slaughter didn't stop there either. The Spanish opened the gates for the Tlaxcalan allies and set them on a rampage to capture and kill any Cholulan they came across.
Nice. Yeah, that's about right. It is said that not a single person was left alive in the courtyard where the massacre had begun. The following morning, 5,000 natives would be dead and the city on fire.
5,000 natives.
That's a lot of people. The Spanish would loot the city of gold, jewelry, and anything of value. After a few days, order was restored. The Tlaxcalans would move back outside the city walls. The city populace would come back from hiding to assess the damage and claim their dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Tlaxcalans, he had to rile them down. He was just like, okay, like let's come on, sit it down, sit it down.
You did your shit. They were going to slaughter the whole bitch.
They basically did.
Right, but they were going to slaughter the ones that had left and were
yeah,
back.
they were going to go on a hunting rampage.
Yeah.
And Cortés is like, okay, we do need people to, we can't just...
They need to feed us. Yeah. They need to house us.
Exactly. We have to also think of what happens after.
Yeah.
It's... So word quickly reached Tenochtitlan about this massacre and would stun Montezuma and his council. He never assumed that they would have massacred thousands of people in the streets. Now, keep in mind, he would have no problem sacrificing a line of 1,000 people, but butchering them in the streets was absolutely mind-blowing to Montezuma and the Aztecs.
There's the difference is Montezuma had a quote-unquote purpose behind his sacrifice, whereas the Spaniards, it was just a massacre.
It was a massacre, yeah. And so think of this. These are two civilizations. We could have sacrificed
all those people to the gods, man.
Exactly.
What the hell?
Yeah. And these are two civilizations that have never, ever met each other. And so their ways of life are truly different. And there are other, seeing what the Spaniards are completely capable of is mind-blowing. It's alien to them. It's completely alien to them.
Yeah, and it's more... I gotta be honest, you gotta be a fucked up culture to scare the Aztecs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You gotta be real fucking savage to do that.
Absolutely. It is said that Montezuma retreated to a secluded location for a week, awaiting for some kind of message from the gods. And he eventually got his message from Huitzilopochtli, which is the god of war, and sent a message to Cortés. He was officially invited to the Aztec capital to meet the emperor, Montezuma.
But just you, not the rest of the army.
Not the rest of you motherfuckers.
Just you, man.
This is no. And I he's trying. At this point, he's like, you have, you've decimated our mindset. You have also
gone against everything we believe in.
Yeah, and you have also allied with the Tlaxcalans. You defeated them, something that we've never been able to do.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's that fear had to have been so deep.
Yeah, because he's sitting there they're just and this is over the course of a couple months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're just sitting there thinking about that every night in bed,
every day, and you're getting these reports of these water houses.
Yeah.
You're getting the pictures of these dogs and these horses that are just stampeding over them.
But you're only getting descriptions, so your imagination is going to run wild.
And these cannons as well that you're hearing about, that they have the power of the thunder of the sky.
Exactly.
And all the power of the sun.
As fuck, and they don't have that shit.
No.
They don't know what that is.
Exactly. But Zagotenga the Younger was really the one that fucking called them the Spaniards for who they are. They're like, they are not gods. They are fucking men, just like us.
They're men with better shit than us.
And if we just kill them, they'll leave.
Yeah.
And it was really his dad, the elder of the Tlaxcalans, that was like, no, they are gods. They are gods.
Bitch, you're blind.
Powerful. Yeah, you're blind, motherfucker. And,
you can't see shit.
Honestly, if they would have gotten the support of the full council to come back to the Aztecs, and if it wasn't they gave up in the middle of the night, I think that they would have.
They could
totally
have ended Cortés right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the pathway and invitation to Tenochtitlan that Cortés had been wanting was finally open after slaughtering 5,000 fucking people.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. The Spanish soldiers and 6,000 Tlaxcalans set forth on their journey through the high and cold mountains and finally came through a pass, now called the Pass of Cortés, giving the Spanish their first look to the Valley of Mexico below, featuring Lake Texcoco.
Yep.
X is sh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they got their first view of Tenochtitlan, the city in the lake.
Mind blown. The city on the water.
Water.
Not Venice, though.
Yeah, not that one. It's actually on the shore.
In November of 1519, Hernán Cortés, 6,000 Tlaxcalans, and several hundred porters entered the Valley of Mexico, descending from the high mountains, making their way to the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan. The Spanish were met by Cacamatzin, the nephew of Montezuma and the king of Texcoco, the second most powerful city within the Aztec Triple Alliance. Cacamatzin arrived with an exorbitant amount of fanfare and grandeur. He was very lavishly displayed. He was doing all the bells and whistles.
Got to. But little did they know that's exactly what the Spanish fucking wanted.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Like, they were like looking at him like, we're going to take all of our...
Exactly.
We're going to take all of that shit.
More than the Spanish had ever seen on like a lavish display of an emperor. Cacamatzin escorted the Spanish to the city of Iztapalapa, which was right across the lake from Tenochtitlan. Iztapalapa was ruled by Montezuma's brother, Cuitlahuac.
I like that.
Cuitlahuac.
Oh,
there we go.
Cooper, by the way, what did the wave say to the beach? What did the wave ask the beach?
Shh.
Are you sure?
Wow. Where did that come from?
I thought about it before you started riffing, and there was never a clean spot, and I was like, I have to say it. I have to say it before it goes away.
So unrelated.
Completely unrelated. Completely unrelated.
Oh, that's great.
It's necessary. Anyway, Cuitlahuac.
Now, and that's Montezuma's brother.
It's like the walk.
And he is the ruler of Iztapalapa, which I like that name.
I do.
It's kind of fun.
It is fun.
Now, just some quick geography notes here, okay? Just so we can picture what the fuck is happening here.
The wave asking the shore what's going on.
I hate you. Tenochtitlan was on Lake Texcoco, which was then surrounded by 4 other small lakes. But these 4 other small lakes were all connected to Lake Texcoco, okay? But they were all on the outside of it. Lake Texcoco was about 30 miles wide, and there were 3 main causeways to get to Tenochtitlan, each about 3 to 5 miles long. There are other like little ones that kind of ramp off of these, but 3 main ones. And they were anywhere from 10 to 30 feet wide. Each one was completely straight, made of stone with bridges built in so that small boats and canoes could travel under them. Or not really under them, but just through them. They could lift them up and this and that and the other. These bridges could be removed like drawbridges if the city was attacked. And if the bridges were removed, it was very difficult to get in or out of the city.
Yeah. So should have kept that shit retracted, my boy.
Yeah. Just not fucking bring in these Spaniards.
Because the Spaniards did not bring their boats.
Well, at the end of the day, we'll see how the Spaniards got back into Tenochtitlan when they managed to escape. Oh, man, the effectiveness of Cortés.
Spoiler alert. So on November 8th, Cortés and his men would march into Tenochtitlan. Cortés wore his finest clothing, and his men wore their full armor freshly polished while also displaying all their banners and flags.
God, they had to smell.
Dude, I mean, I swear to God.
It's just like a walking fucking
you even said
cloud.
it last episode where like there were literal, actual documented reports of them talking about how bad the Spaniards smelled.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it had to be a fucking odor.
They were not, everyone around them was just like, these guys fucking stink, dude.
Yeah. So all around the causeways were canoes filled with the natives looking to get a glimpse of the strange men from the east that they had been hearing so much about. Crossing the causeway leading to the city, the grandeur of Tenochtitlan unfolded before their eyes. It was a sight unlike any they had ever seen. The city seemed to float on the water, its impressive temples and towering structures rising majestically from the lake. The buildings were adorned with vibrant colors, and the intricate architecture spoke of a highly sophisticated and advanced civilization that also murdered so many fucking people for funsies.
They relied on it for the sun to come up every day. Come on now.
You're right. I wonder what would have happened if they just decided not to kill someone for a day.
Well, the sun wouldn't have risen up yet.
That's true. It'd be permanent night.
Obviously.
Permanent nighttime. The causeways were bustling with activity. The local people, adorned in colorful garments and elaborate headdresses, watched the newcomers with curiosity and apprehension. Some were clearly fearful, while others displayed expressions of awe. The canals that crisscrossed the city were filled with canoes, and the markets buzzed with traders selling an array of goods, everything from precious stones to exotic foods like monkey.
Like
Monkey! It's like donkey, but monkey!
One of the most striking features of Tenochtitlan was its innovative use of gardens and small islands, known as chinampas. Chinampas. Now, these floating gardens were a testament to the Aztecs' ingenuity and mastery of agriculture. Constructed from layers of mud and vegetation, the chinampas were anchored to the lake bed with sturdy willows. I only put this in here because it's just fucking fascinating.
Honestly,
because nowhere else in the world were they doing this.
I was going to say, I've seen like recreations of old Aztec times, which, by the way, they should do an Aztec Assassin's Creed. I'm just saying.
That would be
wouldn't it be
dope.
fucking sick? Because we'd actually get to see what it looks like.
We could fight off the fucking Spanish.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's hard, bro.
Right?
That's
what I'm
hard,
saying,
dog.
dude.
But no, like, it is incredibly gorgeous. You're just thinking about all these little islands popping up over the lake surface with just this beautiful greenery and just all this really cool. It's a gorgeous fucking city.
So
stained by blood, but a gorgeous fucking city.
Well, only stained by blood on the temple.
Just on the
they
temple.
had a spot.
Yeah, they had a spot for the violence. Well, isn't there like myths of like the stairs actually being like stained red?
Oh yeah, I
and
mean
stuff
it's
like
coming
that?
down the fucking. They didn't clean those.
No, it's blood. It's
Yeah.
supposed to just seep into that.
Absolutely.
Bitch. Gross.
These men, and so the chinampas, these man-made islands, were incredibly fertile, allowing the cultivation of wide variety of crops, including maize, beans, squash, and chili peppers.
Oh man, were they red hot?
Such red hot.
Dude, I love that.
So red hot.
The chinampas were. That was stupid. I'm sorry. That was a dumb one. Almost as dumb as my shoreline.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I mean,
it was pretty stupid.
Fucking way to go, dude.
Thanks.
I can hear people turning off the podcast.
Yeah, I know. Don't act like they didn't turn it off already. Come on.
They heard chinampas and they're like, these fucking guys
That's
are
not
talking
even
about
how
flowers and plants.
Not how you pronounce it, first of all. No. So the chinampas were a verdant patchwork of green crisscrossed by a network of canals that provided irrigation and easy transportation, right? Canoes glided gracefully through these waterways. Oh, it would have been so beautiful.
Beautiful, dude.
They would carry farmers and their produce to the bustling markets of Tenochtitlan. What a sight, dude. Like,
Dude, I know.
Assassin's Creed, bro. Do it.
I just want to see
Do
this
it, dog.
Assassin's Creed, please.
Come on.
Ubisoft, please don't fuck this up.
We're done with the desert. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, we're
done with
we
the
got so
desert.
much desert, dude.
Give us more
We got
trees.
Mirage. We got fucking Origins.
Like, no more
and
desert.
Please just don't. I mean,
Just
like,
move on.
Valhalla
Even
was
Odyssey
fine.
was half fucking desert.
Yeah,
man.
it wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the
just
Greek
please
desert.
Get out of. Is there a desert in Greece?
Well, not really. It was just grassland, but really short grassland.
Yeah, it's
Really,
not like
really short
Yeah, so if we
grassland.
could just like do this, that'd be great.
Yeah.
it'd be really cool.
Obviously, we have a platform big enough to make that happen.
Obviously,
Yeah, so-
Everybody listening, all of our
well, the
loyals.
CEO of Ubisoft listens to us.
Absolutely,
Totally.
They
Has
rely
to,
on us,
right?
We are their historical reference.
They actually used us to make Odyssey. It was crazy. It was a crazy thing that happened. But essentially, the sight of these lush floating gardens against the shimmering waters of the lake was honestly nothing short of enchanting. Which, like, for realsies, jealous.
And
Like,
these Spaniards had to have come in here and be like, we have never seen more clean shit in our
God, I
life.
can't wait to fuck
I
this shit up.
can't wait to fuck it up.
Let's turn the water red, boys.
The stage was set for a moment unprecedented in human history. A meeting between two civilizations. Two completely autonomous worlds with no prior encounters or understandings of each other. The Native Americans, whom Cortés saw for the first time, were a race of people who had evolved isolated from the rest of the outside world.
You know what would have been sick? Is if the Native Americans would have evolved faster than the Europeans, because I feel like society would be a lot more, not peaceful,
It'd
but
be different.
it would be a lot more like purposeful. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be as capitalistic. It would be more spiritual. It would be more nature focused.
Yeah, which would be great, right?
It would be more, maybe a little human sacrifice here and there. You know what I mean? But other than that, I feel like it'd be interesting.
Human sacrifice or climate warm, global warming.
Both.
Actually,
They're
sacrifice.
They're not mutually exclusive.
The sacrifice could be, it's a good population control.
True.
Yeah, overpopulation wouldn't have happened.
Ask China. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
So for more than
I think.
50,000 years, that these worlds were completely isolated from each other, and the complex advanced civilization he was encountering had until only recently been thought not to exist. Yet here it was before him.
I'm just still picturing Tenochtitlan. Like, it must have been gorgeous.
Bro, reading the books.
It's like Naboo. It's like Naboo, bro. So,
yeah, the books, like, if you get to read Conquistador by Buddy Levy, he paints this beautiful fucking picture of these lands. It is so well painted. Conquest does it justice in about 800 pages of the book. It is.
Of course it does. It's
Yeah.
fucking Conquest.
Well,
we talked about that last episode a little bit, the difference between
very
the authors.
fucking detailed.
The leaves were made of psilocybin. No, I'm just kidding.
The carvings were brought back to their ancient thousands of years of detail.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So finally, 2 long processions of people approached the Spanish, all elaborately dressed for the occasion. In the center of the procession was a luxurious litter, draped in rich fabrics and adorned with gold, feathers, and gems, carried by 4 nobles. When the litter reached the Spanish, Montezuma, the great emperor of the Aztecs, dismounted. Montezuma himself was a figure of regal dignity, his demeanor both commanding and welcoming. Cloaks were laid before the emperor so his feet did not touch the ground as he walked. His servants would even avoid looking directly upon him.
He wore gold sandals and a brilliant green headdress with Quetzal feathers. Quetzal feathers they were more precious to the Aztecs than gold because they were seen as something only from deities.
What
from
are
gods.
Quetzal feathers? What are they from?
Is a bird.
The bird?
Yeah.
Quetzal?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. His cotton cloak was studded with jewelry as well. His lower lip was said to have been pierced with a blue stone hummingbird, and his nose and ears were also pierced. It is said that Montezuma walked with grace and dignity, which isn't too surprising given that he had been ruling his people for nearly 2 decades, and his word was law. When Montezuma approached the Spanish, Cortés, in his steel armor and helmet, dismounted from his horse. As he approached, Montezuma greeted him with flowers and garlands, extending great hospitality, and offered precious gifts, including gold and elaborate works of art. According to accounts, Montezuma attempted to place a necklace of gold around Cortés's neck, possibly as a sign of respect, or perhaps to appease what he might have believed was a returning god or a powerful foreign ruler. Cortés reportedly tried to embrace Montezuma, but was quickly stopped by the Aztec aides. They're like, no, you don't fucking touch him.
None of that shit.
The ceremony that followed was a long and very elaborate process. Cortés met many of the Aztec nobles, and then he presented Montezuma with a necklace of pearls and cut glass. The Spanish then proceeded to give the Aztecs gifts, which probably fucking paled in comparison to the gifts that the Aztecs.
Here's some chain link armor.
Right? Here's another fucking helmet.
Here's a sword.
Steel, take this. No, they kept that shit for themselves.
Yeah,
they needed to keep it for themselves so they could kill him later.
Yeah.
After this showcase display of pleasantries, the Spanish were welcomed into the heart of Tenochtitlan. And that's where we'll pick back up next week on the conclusion of the fall of the Aztec Empire.
Ah, what a cliffhanger. Everything's all warm and sweet, man. Everything's all warm and
Kind of.
sweet. It's like the end of the first Star Wars episode 1. It's like everything was good. Like, you know, they got
Gucci.
Anakin in there.
Yeah,
like
things are going to be so much
Qui-Gon
better.
died, but like it's okay.
It's fine,
like they figured it out.
Qui-Gon was the one
You know,
Spaniard
they
that
end
died.
with that parade. You know, yeah. Qui-Gon was that one Spaniard, exactly. Speaking of, by the way, you said the Quetzal. Just because I was curious and kind of looked it up and stuff. Quetzal was like their god bird essentially. It's just a little guy.
Is it just a little guy?
It's just a little guy. And, but also think about Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah.
That's where that must come
that's
from.
Where it's
got to.
Yeah, you know what? They did talk about that in the book, but
Did they?
there's
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of little details like that.
That's where it's got to come from. That's probably why he was wearing the feathers, because they think that Cortés might be him.
Yeah, it's either that he was like they were thinking he was either from
Reincarnation
him,
of him, or
because the beards were godlike, so their their deities wore beards. The Aztecs weren't actually able to grow the beards.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they would always like try to touch the beards as much as they could because they're like, what the fuck? And they're like, we can't do that.
Meanwhile, the Spaniards have like receding hairlines and shit.
No, the Spaniards had good hairlines.
God damn it.
Yeah, they had
it all. Don't
they had it all.
Even nowadays, bro. Spaniards are so hot.
Dude,
Oh,
fucking.
I hate it, man. Good for you guys
Them
out
and
there.
Greeks, man. The Greece.
Oh,
the
dude,
Greeks,
Greek people. When I went to Greece, bro, they were so fucking
gorgeous.
hot.
Honestly,
Men and women,
just
dude. All of them.
Just the people that live around the Mediterranean.
They got it all.
You guys got it all.
Yeah,
you guys are winning.
What a good episode, though, honestly.
Great. Oh, my God. I'm so excited. So next week, man, we get into the
cream of the crop.
The cream of the crop.
That's when shit hits the fan, basically.
Oh, my God. Just like poor Montezuma, dude. Poor fucking Montezuma.
Okay, but let's be real here. Kind of also fuck Montezuma. Now, don't get me wrong. He was born into it.
Yeah.
Okay, he was born into this religion. He's just doing what he thinks is right by the gods.
Mm-hmm.
But still,
yeah.
Think about how many deaths that man is technically responsible for.
Oh. I mean, 2 decades? It's got to be tens of thousands, if not
100,000. Yeah, I was going to say, like, at least 100,000.
Yeah.
And so, kind of fuck Montezuma, but also fuck Cortés. Honestly, everybody in history was just fucked up.
Yeah.
In their own way.
It was a different world.
It was a very different world. We've said it before on this podcast. We'll say it again. We are living in the best time to be alive right now.
Yeah. When you compare it to these times.
When you compare it to these times. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Yeah, next episode's going to get fucking crazy. We're going to get to the conclusion of it. We're going to get to what happens to Cortés, what happens to
next
Montezuma.
time on Drinking Our Way Through History.
It's happening. And please, rate, review. 5 stars. We fucking love it. If you're not going to leave 5 stars.
Rate the podcast what you would rate Cooper on a physical level. Just a 5.
Damn.
Fuck you. Come on, that was pretty good, right?
That's good.
Pretty good.
Oh, all righty. And you got anything for the kids?
Hey, guys, if you made it this far in the podcast, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but keep doing it, and I appreciate you.
Yeah. All right. Stay beautiful, bitches. Because we fucking love you.